All right, guys. As I said, my name's Nick, and I'm from Collider, which is this crazy branding you're about to see for the next sort of half an hour. But a little bit of context to who Collider are. If this works. We're 30 people. We're based over in London Bridge. As of a couple of weeks ago, we won 26 awards now across the board for various different projects we've done, different clients we've been working on, everything from small businesses through to international clothing brands and high street brands you guys know quite well. So today I'm going to be talking about automating AdWords. So how many of you guys, show of hands, how many of you guys use Google AdWords on a regular basis? Quite a few, almost everybody. So Google AdWords, as I'm sure you're aware, is one of the biggest advertising platforms on the planet. It's a big source of Google's revenue, and so using it properly and minimizing your time on it is very, very important to getting a lot of success in that. So first of all, what is AdWords? What are the different aspects to it? So a little bit of background. Google Search, which is the Google engine, so google.co.uk, .com, .fr. Google Search Partners is various different other brands Google have bought, so things like AOL, Ask Jeeves, Lycos Search. And then Google Display Network as well is third-party websites where Google run advertising through that. Traditionally is also in imagery as well as text adverts that you find on Google Search and the search partners. And then Google Shopping as well is something that's continued to grow for the last sort of 5 to 7 years now, specifically for e-commerce, but an area I'm going to talk about a little bit later because it's very, very good for driving conversion to your website. So the first thing we'll talk about is hidden automation, things that are automated on the Google platform that you may or may not know about already. The first one is search term selection. So one of the key things that Google do is they take your list of keywords and then they work out what sort of search terms to show you for. Just because you put a particular term in your keyword list, it doesn't mean that's the only term you're going to trigger for. Even if you put it on exact match, it will use things like plurals of that term, different variations of the term. If you put red dress and somebody searches red dresses, you're going to appear for that same keyword, even though it's on exact match. The second thing is quality score. This is Google's way of ranking your accounts. So by having a good structure to your account, good content on your website, good advertising, everything working in continuity, you'll get a good quality score with Google. And the bit where that becomes important is on the next point, which is position auctioning, which is quality score times by CPC. So CPC is cost per click, how much you guys are willing to bid on each keyword to appear on the search engine, times by your quality score. Therefore, if you've got a really well laid out account, a good website, good content, good adverts, and a good quality score, you're going to pay less per click to appear higher. And then the fourth one is placement selection. So a placement is on a third-party website, effectively. So a list of placements, a list of websites you're appearing on. A telecoms company we work with like to appear on speedtest.net, so that would be a placement of their account. So the next thing is, what can we automate? So really simply, within AdWords platform, what can we automate to make things a little bit quicker for us, managing our campaigns and hitting success a little bit quicker? So enhanced CPCs and CPA optimizer. So enhancing your cost per click is literally a tick box on Google, but it says to Google, even though my maximum CPC is £1, if you think it's going to be a good click, high chance of conversion, high chance of sale, high chance of getting a good lead into our website from that, I actually want to bid a little bit more on that. If you think it's not going to be such a good click, I want you to lower that. So regardless of when you're showing your ads, what percentage of your bidding structure you've put on that ad time or whatever it is, Google are going to start to look at when you should be bidding more and when you should be bidding less to get a better return. CPA optimizer, that's cost per acquisition. So you can bid based on people actually completing a goal on the website. So for an e-commerce site, it's obviously a sale or a newsletter sign up or somebody going through to a social channel and following you. You can bid based on that. You can say to Google, actually, I want to optimize my account in terms of bidding so that every time you think someone's going to come onto my website and convert, I want to bid more or less for that, depending on the outcome. And Google will start to manage that for you. So that suddenly we've automated our entire bidding process on Google. Obviously, you still set a master budget on that per day, so it'll be a daily budget, but it helps to improve that process. Ad rotation. This is something really important from a marketing point of view, as opposed to just a sort of AdWords technical point of view. By rotating your ads evenly, you can start to test lots of different adverts with the same traffic coming through each ad. So you could have 2 adverts, they can get 50% of the impressions each, and you can make a decision as to which ones had the most sales, which ones had the most clicks, which ones got the best click-through rate, and decide which one to keep. By doing this sort of stuff, you're immediately improving your conversion rate on Google just by using this little feature and starting to manage it a little bit yourself. Again, the rotation itself is automated. Tick a box, and it does it for you. I think it's actually a drop-down. And then advert scheduling as well. For some brands, you're going to find more people are going to buy in their lunch breaks and later on at night. For other brands, they're going to be a B2B company, so you're going to need to advertise between 9 and 5 during the day. much better time for you guys. So you can set this within Google, so you don't have to keep logging in. And I've actually had clients before who have phoned me saying, is there anything we can do to do this? Because I keep logging in at 10 p.m. and turning my account off. And then when I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, I turn it back on. And it's like almost become a lifestyle, turning AdWords on and off every day, which I don't know about you. I love AdWords, but not that much. So I think advert scheduling is fantastic. Okay, now automated rules. It's a little bit newer, something that's a little bit more kind of fresh on the market, if you like, from Google. But it's basically the process of setting a rule on the account. The best way to use this, and I've got an example in a minute of how we've used it for a client, but the idea of using this is when an account automatically reaches a certain shelf, you can action something. So really simply, if you're paying too much per conversion on your website or through your Google AdWords account, you can turn ad groups off. So suddenly you're not turning the whole campaign off, but you're just saying, if anything's over £20 a conversion, we make a loss. So if it hits £20 a conversion, turn it off and email me. So it turns it off, it emails you, you get an email saying, this ad group is now turned off. And I'll explain a bit later on what we can do once it's turned off to make it better. So that's this one here, so we can pause low-performing ad groups. And we can change keyword bids to maintain a desired average position or stay at the top. Some brands, they don't like being second or below. They're like, we just want to be number one. Other brands turn around to us and say, actually, part of our brand proposition is to be fourth or below. So we don't want to be on the left-hand side of Google, we want to be on the right-hand side of Google. You can set that as well. It used to be called position preferencing. Now we can do it through these automated rules, and you can do it by ad group, not just by campaign. And as it says at the bottom, you can send yourself an email as well. So if any of these things hit these rules, you can turn around, you get an email, and you can turn around to your accounts guy or your whoever's looking after the account, your agency, your marketing manager, and you can say, look, this ad group's too expensive, it's turned itself off, fix it, make it better, or don't turn it back on, which is a great way of improving your conversion rates. And this is the example scenario. So as I said, when a certain ad group was hitting £20 a conversion, our client would make a loss. So some of them, I think we actually set it about £18 originally, but every time an ad group was spending more than £18 per conversion, so we spent 180 quid and it only had 9 conversions, it's going to be under our £18, so it would turn itself off. If it was working above that, we could also set it to increase the bid on that. This ad group's working well, let's bid more, let's get higher up the rankings, and then we can start working on building more keywords into that ad group and improving the traffic and making even more conversions from what we're trying to do. Although when I keep saying conversion as well, a conversion is what you guys decide. So for an e-commerce site, it's obviously a sale, newsletter sign up. For other sites, it's just filling out an inquiry form. For another website, it may just be reaching a particular page. So somebody, if you've got a particular offer running and you want people to see there's a sale starting tomorrow, that might be a conversion. People now know we have a sale on tomorrow. That's our conversion for the week. So that's another way of doing it. And then what you shouldn't automate. I heard there was a talk earlier on here today that was about unautomated advertising, which I don't know about you guys, to me immediately said normal advertising, but apparently it's good to talk about both. So some of the things I think you shouldn't automate, and this is from experience. First one is language and tone of voice. I wouldn't recommend automating the way you build your adverts. I've seen the way people do it with codes, and they'll say, buy X online today, free delivery at X. And those X's then get replaced by something when you build the account. So it'll be replaced by a product name and a price, or a product name and a particular offer. I recommend against that completely. It doesn't set you apart from your target audience. It doesn't show any initiative into knowing who your target audience is for those keywords. You may have a different audience for every keyword as well. You may find that one particular ad group has a completely different audience to another ad group. So it's really important to write your adverts by hand. Jumping to point 3 quickly, I'll come back to number 2. Jumping to point number 3, translations. We work across Europe for various brands. We have French and German speaking people in our office. And one of the things we found is we used to translate AdWords and social media into German, into French, into Spanish, into Italian. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. We found out from one of our clients who sells hard drives, we found out the word hard drive in German and French is completely different to what we call them in the UK. They're called external drives, internal drives, all these different keywords. So translating isn't simply putting it into Google Translate and hitting go. It's actually getting a local speaker to say, what do people call this product here? How do people buy this product here? It may be something that people buy a lot online or may buy nothing online. They may have to go into a shop to purchase the product, whereas in another country they may go into a shop. Buy it online. So making sure you use the right tone of voice for that market is very, very important. And then you've got different age demographics, different genders, all these different things that can split things up. So know your target audience, know what kind of language to use with them, and also work from experience as well. Look at what you've done before, what's worked well, what your competitors are doing. Always keep your eyes open. Campaign production as well. There's a lot of elements you can do to build. And when I'm saying campaign production, I'm not talking about the entire marketing campaign of we're a business and we're going to offer this particular sale or this particular offer to people. Campaign production is when you're physically building an AdWords campaign. don't automate it. There are some elements we can automate. We can build it in Excel, we can build it in AdWords Editor, and then upload it. Bing have their own offline editor as well. Build it in that, upload it, that's fine. But what we're saying is build it manually in the sense of what we're trying to achieve here, how are we going to break it down, how is our website laid out as well. If your website's laid out with 3 product categories, it makes sense to me to have maybe 3 campaigns for those 3 categories, have one for the brand and then one for competitors. Really simple layout, keeps things in continuity, but making sure that before you build your website, you're looking at what your target audience need to look at. So if they're only interested in 2 of those 3 areas, only have 2, simple. Meet your target audience needs, and then planning as well. Don't automate the planning. Quite a lot of our clients will call us up and say, I found a new keyword. And we're like, a new keyword, brilliant. And they're like, this keyword is going to change the world. Look how many people look for this keyword. The keyword is boots. And we're like, you build custom tailored boots. And there's a brand called Boots. And all these other different things that are going to start to cause friction between customer and sale. So we went back to them and said, don't do that. It's a terrible idea. Instead, we'll build a keyword list of about 500 terms that are around custom tailored boots. Boot tailoring, leather boot tailoring, custom leather boots, bespoke leather boots, personalized. So you're starting to build this list. That was built from using our brains, using our hands, and physically writing things on a piece of paper and then translating that onto Google. So don't automate that part. And then Google Shopping. So I said I'll talk about this a little bit. Google Shopping, I think, is fantastic. One of the things we've seen as an agency is conversion rates are going through the roof. It's a complete platform where people only go on shopping to shop. It sounds really obvious, but what does that do to your conversion rates? They go flying through the roof. By the time somebody clicks on one of your links on Google Shopping to come into your website, they've already seen the price, they've seen the delivery cost, and they've seen all your competition. If you pay for that click to come in, for them to come into the website, you're almost guaranteed to have a great opportunity of sale there. They already know what price it is, they know what the product is, they know they want it, they know what your competition's offering. They've chosen you. Make the most of that by having a good website. But let's talk about the ins and outs of Google Shopping. So number one, how it works. It works by Google basically looking at the products on your website, and they decide titles, descriptions. You guys decide the price, obviously. But they take the information from your site and automatically choose what search terms to put you up to the top for, what things to target you on, and also what competitors to put you against. They decide all of that. There's no more keyword choosing, no more placements, nothing like that. To set it up, you need to create an XML feed. There's several ways of doing it, but we choose to do XML feeds because they're the most obvious. We run them sort of between 1 and 2 times a week. If you run them every day, Google probably won't review the ads before you've actually uploaded another one, and then you're back at the back of the queue for review, so your ads will never actually go live, which isn't great in marketing. So best thing to do is create an XML feed. The reason why we choose XML is because you can create an automatic feed from websites like WordPress, using things like Magento systems. Even one of our partners, the guy's called Vendor, and they build websites all across the world for various different brands. They've all got these XML feeds that come out automatically. They run once a week. So once a week, Google's database gets updated with, here's all the products we've got right now. These are the prices. These are promotions, delivery costs, titles, little description. Google then takes that information, looks at where those products are linking to on the website, and starts to build their own campaign for you. So it's quite automated in the sense you don't have to build a campaign anymore. You just build a feed and upload it. And from that day onwards, it's completely automated. Never worry about it. Your bit is to manage the CPC bids, the maximum cost per click bids. How much are you willing to pay to have somebody click on one of those ads and come into your website? Quite often when you start off in any marketing, there's a bit of trial and error, there's a bit of touch and go. There are some tools to give you a bit of insight, and Google will tell you if you're not bidding enough. Convenient. But they'll tell you how much you should be bidding to start off with, and from that you can then start to manage those bids and say, actually, for this product, we're just bidding way too high. Let's lower that down a little bit, or let's increase it. It's a high margin product. Let's spend a little bit more on that. And then reporting and monitoring as well. I'm a firm believer in, I call it the tracking trumpet. The guys at work are talking about getting me a trumpet for Christmas, which I can't actually play. But the tracking trumpet is basically saying track everything in as much detail as you possibly can. The internet is like an oyster of data. Get as much of that data as you can. Some of the ways we do Google Shopping is through AdWords. Obviously, it's in the interface. You put it into Google Merchant Center, and then it comes into AdWords. You bid in AdWords. You can track it in AdWords. And analytics as well with goal conversion tracking. Again, work out what your goal is. Conversion is someone completing that goal, and work out how to track that in analytics. You can use things like UTM codes for doing various different bits and pieces to track in analytics. But make sure you're monitoring and tracking properly. I was chatting to some of the guys at the show here, and there's some awesome different tools for tracking. Make sure you're on top of them. But then use the data as well. And that sounds really obvious, but use it. Work out what your target audience actually do on your website. Look at heat maps, which basically show you where people's attention is on your website. Look at what pages they're looking at, look at dropout pages, exit pages. You can get completely swamped in this data, which is kind of where some of the nerds that work for me come in. But yeah, it's brilliant to have it, and make sure you know what you're trying to achieve as the end goal. So if you're trying to get people to buy stuff, where's the friction on your website? Where are people dropping off? Where are people spending too long on content? Is there a different way we could work our shopping cart, for example, which will come back to working a higher conversion on this? One of the examples Google gave us recently at a seminar they did was Debenhams. I think it was either Debenhams or BHS. They kind of merged into one in my head. But on their website, they basically created a guest cart. So suddenly you had registered user, someone who's bought before, has a login, new user, so you can become a registered user by filling out a load of information, or guest cart. So you can do a one-time buy, and you don't have to become a user afterwards. They did that, 33.3% increase in traffic. Suddenly they were getting, out of every 3 opportunities for sale, they were getting 1 more, which I think is fantastic. So look at opportunities like this, and this all came out of analysis from looking at how their Google Shopping was working, looking at how their Google AdWords was working, how people are interacting on the websites. And then optimizing Google Shopping, there's 2 different things we can do. These aren't necessarily automated, but these are very much like a once a month or once a quarter process. The first one's Bid Simulator. This is a tool Google give you as a shopping customer. In Bid Simulator, you can type into it, how about if I bid 20% more on all of my keywords or all of my products on Google Shopping? And it will say, great, if you do that, you'll get 20% more traffic. No brainer. However, it doesn't work quite as simple as that. If you bid 20% more per keyword, you're not necessarily going to get 20% more traffic, but you may be higher up in the listings. As you guys have probably seen on that top 4 on Google, you'll see top 4 products on Google when you search for a product. The chance of being in those top 4 is quite slim, especially for a very competitive product. So by increasing your bid, you can appear into that. That may turn your conversion rate around completely and prove to be quite a good win for you guys. So use Bid Simulator, see what the opportunities are, and it's great for your financial director as well. If you're trying to justify having more budget to do things, using Bid Simulator, looking at your daily budget, looking at the opportunities open to you, you can go back to your financial department and say, well guys, look, if we spend 50% more on Google, I reckon we can get 60% more business. It's going to work fantastic. We can move into a new market, we can try some new stuff. Helps you get budgets signed off, which I know are a massive headache for all of us. And then conversion tracking and eCPC. Again, conversion tracking, spoke about it a million times now. And then enhanced cost per click bidding. It's basically like ticking a box and saying, Google, you decide. I trust you, we're friends now, I'll give you loads of money every month. You decide how to bid for me. And Google will actually start to enhance your cost per click. You can still set a rough shelf, so you can say, don't want to spend more than £1 a click. But Google's enhanced bidding will then say, for some of these clicks, we'll pay £1.20 or £1.30. For some of them, we'll only pay 50 or 60p, depending on what the depending on what the market is, depending on what the conversion goal for that product is. And then here are some of these. I always do them in AdWords talks. I've done some maximizing ROI, so some stuff for you guys to take away. 3 of my biggest tips. Number 1 is monitoring AdWords. I've spoken about this loads, but here's five different ways you can track what's going on. You'd be amazed at how many clients over my 8 years in this, I've looked at their account and they've had 1 campaign, 1 ad group, 6 million keywords, 1 advert. And you're like, your advert just says, hey, we're so-and-so, we sell this kind of product, and we sometimes offer free delivery. How about that? And when someone sees that on Google, they just go, nah, sorry about that. However, if you were to start say, do you know what, we're one of the UK's leading people in this product, or actually let's create lots of ad groups, different categories. You're looking for women's shoes. We've got designer women's shoes. We're one of the best in the industry at selling them. And if you have a pair of our shoes, everyone will notice. Here's the proof, you know? Suddenly you've got an actual marketing perspective to go with now. You've got something to drive with, a reason for people to click on you, something to interest people in what you're doing. But anyway, those are 5 different types. We've got analytics goal tracking, so you can set what your goal is, where your goal page is. Could be the thank you for signing up for our newsletter page, so once somebody's completed it. Could be their order confirmation page, once somebody's bought something. You can even install e-commerce tracking, which monitors all of your sales coming through AdWords. And any part of the website, in fact, on Google Analytics. So you can run a report and say, we spent 20 grand this month on Google AdWords, and we've made 200 grand back on e-commerce, as we can see there. We can see all the funnels of how people have come through. It's a great tool. Custom reporting, you can get these emailed to you. You can basically create a report and say, literally just drag and drop data and say, I want only data from these 4 traffic sources. I only want data from these 4 traffic sources if they've been through this particular category page, or if they come through this particular offer page, and I only want data from this report if people have bought something at the end. Get a really clear ROI from a particular campaign you've run. conversion tracking I've spoken about, and then also AdWords reports as well. Log into the AdWords interface, have a poke around, look at your keywords, see what's triggering your keywords, see what other people are looking for on the internet as well. You can run, there's Keyword Planner, so you can type in your website, tells you what keywords are relevant to you guys, partly based on your SEO data, but also based on, sorry, I completely forgot what I was talking about. AdWords, that was it. So on AdWords search terms, it's been a long day. So you can look at the search terms triggering your ads. Keyword Planner is a great place for finding out new keywords. So you can type in a load of search terms that are relevant to you guys, find out what's going on. Google Insights is a great tool as well for planning new campaigns. You can see throughout the year how much traffic increases and decreases. We've got quite a lot of clients in the clothing industry, and as you can imagine, spring, summer, autumn, winter, 4 different seasons. I phoned them in the summer at one point during a heat wave and said, "What are you guys up to?" And they're like, "Oh, we're just putting together some snow displays for our winter campaign," which is what they have to do in the summer. So it's working out when these different things start to pick up. When do people actually start researching into Christmas shopping? And when do they start buying for Christmas shopping? Do January sales actually start in January? All this kind of stuff. One of our clothing clients, biggest day of the year, if you're in clothing, write this down, Boxing Day. You probably know this already. Don't ever have a limit on how much you're about to spend on Boxing Day. We've never seen so many sales before on Boxing Day through one client. As a menswear brand, and they spent more on that one day than they did over the 6 months building up to that through Christmas campaigns. It was incredible, and they made the best ROI return on that single day. So Boxing Day is enormous for that. Find these little days. You know, is it Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day? I get not all of us sell B2C products, but even with B2B products, are you going to do a massive campaign in August? Probably not. You can do a massive campaign towards the end of Christmas. Depends what your brand is, really. But know when these things are happening.